Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a review of The Rise of Magicks by Nora Roberts, so let's get into it. Now, this book is actually book 3 in the series The Chronicles of the One. And so the first 2 books I would highly recommend checking out if you haven't yet and before watching this video, because there might be some spoilers for those. But the first book is Year One, and then the second book is Of Blood and Bone, and they're great reads. I highly recommend them. And this story continues from those other books. So basically the outline of those first 2 books, there's been an evil seal broken, and what happens is there's a worldwide plague called the Doom that kills most people on the planet, but many of the people that do survive actually end up developing magic powers. So they have magic abilities, they can shape shift. There's a variety of different powers. People become fairies, people become elves, all this different stuff. And then people have a variety of magical powers and abilities on top of that. And so the world kind of splits apart where there's the evil government that is trying to capture and study and perform experiments on these magical beings. There's also dark, evil magical people called the Dark Uncanny that are trying to take over and kind of rule and destroy the world. There's also purity warriors, which are kind of, holy warriors that are basically almost racist in a sense, where they're trying to kill all kinds of magical beings, good and evil, across the world. And so it creates kind of a Walking Dead type environment where there's raiders trying to hoard supplies, again, just kill people for fun, all this crazy stuff. And so the heroes of that original story finally come together and build a town, New Hope. And so this is basically where the good and the light are trying to build a community, and it continues on into the second book where one of the founders of New Hope has a baby, and it's actually the One, and this is Fallon Swift, and she is basically the savior of the light. And so she's kind of groomed throughout this book, kind of like a Yoda Luke Skywalker action, where she goes to get training from Malik, a sorcerer from old, to teach her kind of the ways of the One, to develop her powers, help her become the leader she needs to be to lead the light. And that's kind of the process of the second book, is her coming into that. And now the third book takes place where the light is starting to grow, the community is getting stronger, Fallon's coming into her powers, and so now they are really just developing an army to take on the darkness. And so that's really what this book is about, kind of more of the action phase of the book almost, where the armies are being built. There's many battles throughout this story as well, the light taking on the big dark cities, so like Washington, D.C., New York, and other big cities across the world that have been kind of saturated by darkness. And so her job is to take on this evil and build the community, build these armies, and lead the world into light. And so it's a great story. I really enjoy it, especially it's more action-packed in this one, but then it also builds on a lot of the characters from the previous books. And on top of that, it kind of dives into Fallon's new relationship and kind of building into that and what that's going to look like with her together with her new love interest. And so it definitely ties into a lot of deep concepts as well, of friendship and relationships and dealing with grief and all kinds of different things like that, because it is more of a war story combined with kind of a love story at the same time. It's a great book. If you like fantasy books, I would definitely recommend this series. Like I said, it's kind of a mix between magic and fantasy, and then also kind of like a post-apocalyptic survivor type story. So it's kind of like Walking Dead mixed with magic and Lord of the Rings. So it's a pretty cool combination with that. And then I also like that the story itself takes place in modern times. So it also has some technology aspects to it, kind of rebuilding society, what it would be like now if maybe a worldwide virus took everything out. So kind of relevant, you might say, to a sense at this point, but it's a good story and I highly recommend checking it out. I think the only downside I found with this is that it kind of seemed like the good guys were overpowered at points, where in the previous books, when there was big battles, there's a lot more suspense, I almost felt like, where this one, it kind of felt like the good guys just didn't really have much of a challenge at all. Certainly there were challenges throughout the battles, but in general, it just kind of felt like they were giant humans stepping on ants to a sense. So take it for what it is. But again, I really enjoyed this book. I think you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it as well if you like fantasy type books set in a modern setting. And then also if you enjoy shows and comics and stuff like The Walking Dead, I think you'll enjoy this book as well. I also think the book does a good job of wrapping up the series. It is a trilogy, and so I think it comes to a good ending of the book. I won't spoil that for you, but I was satisfied for how it ended and how it wrapped up the series as well. But let me know in the comments below, do you like The Rise of Magicks? Did you enjoy this series? Are there other books by Nora Roberts I should check out that are great? Let me know in the comments below. And again, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe and turn on those bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out here. And if you'd like to help us support the channel, pick out content and more, consider becoming a patron of ours over at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel as well, you can follow us on Twitch over at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.